you guys. Let's go.
In Canada, the restaurant business is an $80 billion market.
And when it comes to having meals delivered to our home, Canadians clearly love those handy food apps.
I use Skip the Dishes.
Uber Eats.
A couple of taps on your phone, and the food is at your door. Marketplace set out to discover if one service is better than the other.
All right, welcome to Battle of the Apps. Are you guys hungry?
Very hungry.
Starving. That's what I like to hear. So here's what you guys are doing. You are ordering the same meal from the same restaurant at the exact same time.
They found some clear winners, but also something they didn't expect that moved a fun story into something more serious. Anu Singh and Makta Gabraselassie worked on the Marketplace investigation. Okay, lots of ground to cover with you two. So let's start with the money, because that's important to anyone who's ordering their food. We always know there's a delivery fee, but you found that there were some fees there that people might not expect.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And that's a true Marketplace story, right? Those hidden fees. So you can go into the store or into the restaurant and pick up some food, and you usually see the menu and it's there, it's listed, pizza, $10. You go into the app, and I think you expect the same thing, that the price will be listed on the app. But the price is marked up, and you're not told about that. To us, that's a hidden markup that people should know about, because it's a fee you just don't see.
And you wanted to find out why this was happening, so I know you talked to one of the restaurant owners. Let's hear from him for a second.
We found that in your restaurant and some others, food costs more on the apps than in the restaurants. Why is that?
It's just because of the percentage that they take. It's 30%. That's most of our profit that going into their commission, right? I thought we could just mark up the price a little bit, at least make a little money, or if you don't do that, then we won't make no money.
You know, I actually felt a lot of sympathy for him when he says we're adding a dollar so we make some money off this, but I was very surprised to learn these apps are taking 30%.
Yeah, and as high as 35% in some cases. And what he told us is what we heard often, over and over again, from most of the restaurant owners, is that they feel they have to mark up their prices a bit to make some money in the end.
Yeah, which seems reasonable, but it's a surprise when you get the bill and you realize what you're paying. So the really sort of hard-edged part to this investigation, though, I think sort of came as a surprise as you're looking into this, right?
It really did, because when we started off, it seemed like a very straightforward story. We were going to test these apps. How quickly do they deliver things? You know, what are their prices like? And we were going to reveal the hidden markups. But we started talking to more and more of the couriers. So from the biggest three apps that we looked at, Fedora, Uber Eats, Skip the Dishes. And as we started speaking to them, we realized there are issues here. There's unrest. And then we also came across injured workers.
Right.
We had seen it ourselves. Like, the people in a team had seen people getting hurt on the streets. So
well, I mean, you see these guys on the streets.
Yeah.
They're flying sometimes because they're trying to get to this place in time. But I do wonder, like, do they get hurt?
There's a lot of pressure on them to make these deliveries and make them fast. So we ended up speaking to several couriers who got hurt. And we're talking about anything from slipping on ice to a concussion, broken bones, broken arm, broken hand. And when we started talking to the couriers, what we sort of discovered was, wait a second, some were covered and had some workers' comp and others weren't. So the question was, why?
And I know that you talked to one of the couriers who was hurt, so let's hear from him.
I was riding my bicycle in the downtown and somebody opened a door. So I crashed into the door and that broke my left hand. I was sad that Uber even didn't ask me, "Are you okay? Everything is good? Do you need an ambulance?" No, nothing like that.
I mean, obviously you can see why he's upset at not getting more support in the moment. What does Uber say?
Well, we reached out to the company and they wanted to know his name or ask him to come forward. Obviously, we weren't going to agree to that because we've agreed to not identify this courier, but they said they don't want any of their couriers experiencing something like this.
And why can't we see who it is?
They're really afraid. They're genuinely afraid of losing their job. And we kept hearing it over and over again. So that's why we've decided to protect all three couriers that are in our piece. We spoke to several. These three are in the piece and we're not showing their face.
Okay, so he's unhappy because he says he got hurt and the company wasn't really there to support him in the moment. But there's more to this than that, right? I mean, that they're categorized, depending on which company they work for, they're getting different levels of support from workers' comp.
That's right. We found out that the Fedora courier was covered. This courier for Uber Eats was not covered. So we wondered, how did that happen? we went to the Workers' Compensation Board here in Ontario, the WSIB, and we learned that Foodora is classified as courier operations. Meanwhile, Uber Eats is classified as a telephone answering service or a call center. And then Skip the Dishes, its status is pending. So we couldn't understand why there was this difference in classification.
And I think, you don't have to have looked deeply into this story to go, that doesn't make sense. If someone's coming to my door delivering food, they're clearly not working in a call center.
Yeah, behind the scenes, like as a story team, that was a real moment for us. This is just inconsistent. They all do the same thing, right? They're delivering food. So why are they classified differently by the WSIB, by Workers' Comp in Ontario?
And what did you find?
We found that misclassification means for couriers ultimately that those that work for Foodora are covered and those that work for Uber Eats are not.
And why does Workers' Comp allow that?
That's a really good question. And we asked several times, right? So in the end, what we got, this was after weeks, was that they were going to look into it and review Uber Eats status and maybe step back and look at the industry as a whole.
And they admitted that it was because of this investigation that they were looking into it.
Which is great. Now, this is focused on Ontario. What do we know about the sort of pan-Canadian?
It's all over the place. We know that Foodora pays for coverage across the country. Uber Eats says that it does not pay for coverage for its couriers anywhere in the country. And Skip is kind of in the middle. It pays for some couriers in some provinces and not in others.
And this is what I want to know. If I'm going to order food to my door, I want to know that person's okay if something happens on the way. Thanks for looking into it.
You're welcome.